category, and there was one provided with the original wetland replication protocol.
So the B form has been done.
Yeah, no, the A form has been done. A B form would be required, for instance, if you had greater than 100 linear feet of bank impact, where it's double, the threshold for wildlife habitat evaluation would be 50 feet. So if you exceed 100 feet, you need to do the appendix B.
So you've done the A.
We've provided the A.
And what does it, can you just sort of summarize it for us?
I think to summarize that we found that there's no important wildlife habitat at the crossing.
At the
At
cross.
the crossing, but what about the rest? I mean, the impact of the
That's
whole...
that's what the impact assessment's for, is
Just the
for the
crossing.
wetland impacts for the crossing.
But for the whole site, you don't have that study done.
It's only required for impacts.
I'm just trying to remember, back when we did the cell tower, we had a pretty extensive wildlife assessment,
You do, yeah.
and I can't remember what triggered it.
Well, it's part of the bylaw, the town bylaw.
To do a wildlife assessment.
Yeah.
But that's not limited to like the crossing.
You want to opine on that, whether we have to
Yes.
opine?
I think what Scott has described is correct, concerning
That
the
only-
requirements of the state regulations.
Yeah, the question was the town bylaw, but I don't
It
know
could have
the
been
answer.
something else required under a different town bylaw, or zoning or something else of that nature.
Wetland bylaw.
15, chapter 15. I think
Not
what you're
aware of
referring to.
anything in.
I think your town bylaw uses the same forms and the same analyses.
In some areas, but we do
Overall
protect other
site,
interests.
not just a wetland when you cross
Well,
it.
it's where the project involves work in either a resource or in a buffer zone. That's the
The entire
subject of
project is
that's
a-
the subject of the assessment.
Right, but I think our point is that the impact on the buffer zone is far greater than just in where the crossing is.
So the Form A, Scott, that deals with the impact in the resource area, correct?
Yeah, Form A, or B for that matter, only addresses impacts to wetland resource areas.
At crossing.
So it doesn't, there's
You
no
can't be-
wildlife.
you
the
can't-
wildlife
I always
habitat
said the buffer, and I thought that was-
assessment for the buffer.
Well,
I thought that was true.
I misspoke about the Form A. What I meant was that the concern of the Conservation Commission's overall assessment is activities in the resource areas and the buffer, not the whole site. But Scott
but we've got-
has described the specific wildlife assessment that was completed in accordance with the state regulations.
In accordance
For the
with.
crossing.
The
In
crossing.
accordance with the state regulations.
On a
The
crossing.
impact
Oh,
on-
the crossing is
impact on-
what he said.
Crossing.
He
The
said for
impact
the
on the
crossing.
resource area. That's where the project impacts the resource area.
Right, but now we're talking about the buffer.
It's not relevant to the question about Form A and Form B.
Okay, we're talking about a wildlife assessment in the buffer.
I think that's not required, am I right?
That's correct. There's no requirement for a wildlife habitat
Under the
evaluation
town bylaw?
buffer zone.
Now, he's talking about the state wetlands. I don't know under the
I don't
town
believe there's
bylaw.
one under the bylaw as well.
There is.
You say?
I didn't find it, but there's a,
Could you provide, and I believe I asked for this before, could you provide the structural section of the retaining wall of the lower building on the wetland side? And the concern,
This wall here,
yep,
it's the same stone strong product.
did you give, I don't,
It should be,
is it,
I
looked
I
at-
added new cross sections and details.
And it's in there?
It's in the site
Okay,
plan,
I
it's
didn't
out, yeah, way in the back.
I'll look for it again.
Yeah, and honestly, if it doesn't satisfy it and you find out before, just give me a shout.
Sure.
Specifically asked.
You show details, but,
Yes.
okay, a structural detail,
Yes, what's
but you don't tell
in
me
addition.
what the construction detail. I mean, how far out from the wall is the construction gonna
You're
take
talking about
place?
excavation.
The excavation, the limit of excavation.
Well,
I mean, you look at that upper corner, where that 8-foot, where that retaining wall is. See it?
this one here,
No, keep going,
Yeah.
keep going, up,
Up here?
keep going, up, right up in the corner.
Why don't you stand up and go show us where you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. It's right next to the wetlands. How far, okay? What is the width of your disturbance of the wetlands? You show me the width, a detail of the wall, and you're gonna have a footing under it, but what's your construction detail? How far out are you gonna go disturbing the earth?
Like I said, you create you excavate for the stone, you place,
That's not a stone, that's not one of your prefabricated walls.
yeah, it is,
It is.
That's a prefabricated wall?
yeah.
It's the step back wall.
I'm not
Right.
proposing any put-in-place walls on this site.
Okay.
These are all the staggered stone
Right.
walls, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see anything here in the bylaw. I'm scanning it pretty fast.
For what?
About a wildlife assessment, not in a resource area, but rather in the.
The bylaw, it's in the regulations.
What's that?
It's in the regulations.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have that, Arthur? You've got the bylaw here, but do you have the rights?
I believe it's in the book.
You just have everything, don't you?
All right, any other questions from commissioners? Members, abutters, members of the public would like to address the question?
Poor people have been sitting here all night.
It's been interesting. For the record, Robert Buckley, Raymond Bronstein. I'm just going to focus this evening on issues I think we'd like to have the commission review in the deliberations. I don't want to get into other issues that are not germane to the jurisdiction of the commission.
Thank you.
I believe one of the commissioners asked earlier about the environmental or the jurisdictional issues.
Yeah, did you say who you were representing?
Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Joseph Mullen. Okay, 300 Highland Street. From a design standpoint, not being an engineer, but one of our big concerns is that the access drive, and germane to the commission's jurisdiction is such things as if there is ever a catastrophic failure or a failure of the wall system or the culvert, you have 90 residents in that complex, so 90 units. That's the only way in and out. So you're looking at probably having to do an emergency order and perhaps have more disturbance than was contemplated initially. So I think when you're reviewing this, you should have that in the back of your mind, how to design this so to minimize, if there is ever that situation.
You said a catastrophic failure of
Well,
what?
for instance, I
Drainage?
mean, if the wall fails, if the culvert fails, I watched, I believe, the commission's hearing, the last hearing, where there was a description of the culvert being excavated, or the footings being excavated 3 feet with stone, and then 18 inches, the culvert rests on that. I'm not an engineer, but there are voids, if that freezes, if there's a problem with that culvert, what happens to the residents getting in and out of that
I
site?
mean, if there's a car on fire, you know.
Well,
it blocks it.
I want to focus on the issues germane to the Conservation Commission. But I think that during your deliberations and consideration of the design, it's well within your jurisdiction to consider those types of potential initial impacts, but what the future impacts may be from a situation that would arise in that. I mean, I'm troubled by the slope and how you would handle, you have, what, a 7% slope on the road? Six. How are you going to treat the run in terms of snow removal, ice, two drain? I believe that the catch basins are at the base of the slope, or the base of the road. Is it freezing? How are you going to treat the roadway itself? Which goes to your situation, does a car skid out, does it block the driveway? But those are issues for another board to consider. You know, I assume the commission would put restrictions on what could be used to treat ice and snow accumulation on the road. We would certainly expect that, because otherwise I think they're leaching into the wetlands, which is a potential impact. I am concerned, after speaking to some engineers, about the cross hydrology. You are essentially damming a wetlands. I don't know what the flow rates are, what the volume is, but you are, in my simple mind, creating a weir where you're taking what is essentially sheet flowing today and blocking that and either increasing velocity or backing it up, which is an alteration of a wetlands by damming the water. If someone raised the issue, if that culvert were to be blocked, if something were to fall off the road, if there was something that, then you do have a situation that has to be addressed. I don't know what the results of the vernal pool investigation was.
Yeah, there was no evidence of
No
any,
evidence.
It's okay.
yeah.
One of the things that I looked at, again, I'm relatively new to it, but it seems that the boring information, while there is boring information that has been supplied to the town recently, it seems the site and the wetlands impacts have been articulated prior to the boring information being available, and you're kind of backing into that situation. So I would think that the commission would be well advised to have that reviewed to confirm that the design is being proposed is consistent with the boring information, because it seems he put the cart before the horse here, and, but that's something that the,
It's a good point, and we actually addressed that point with the ZBA, and we sort of tentatively agreed to share an expert on that very issue, because we don't know what
Right.
the soils are going to support. We're talking about, big culverts and, large kind, is that it?
well, I'm not worried about the support of the structural support aspects. I'm just worried about the drainage and how you're handling, complying with the stormwater guidelines, whether the borings support the current treatment of stormwater runoff, or it has to be modified, and does that plan represent how you would comply with the guidelines and handle stormwater on the site?
I can answer that.
Well, if you,
You hold it, remember it, so you can answer.
Right.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
and the wildlife habitat, my understanding is, while you do analyze it with respect to the resource area, the implications that the Conservation Commission does have jurisdiction to look at that as it affects the buffer zone. What's the impact in the resource area? But we can have a further discussion on that, because that's well within their jurisdiction. And finally, the comment on the Mass DOT issue, it doesn't surprise me that Mass DOT would not comment on the adequacy of an internal drive. They're not concerned about that, nor do they have jurisdictional issues with that. I mean, they may focus on the intersection of the drive with their state-regulated highway, and I don't know what the conditions would be with respect to drainage at that location, and does it pool there? Could you just show me where your drainage is
About
going?
here, I believe.
So if for any reason those are blocked, this Mass Highway, I would assume would be concerned about pooling and icing in the highway, but.
So I would have nothing to do with that.
In all due respect, I haven't verified the material. I've sat here and listened and I've watched you on tape, but you say those things, but we'll get into those from a technical standpoint. But those are our issues I think the commission should focus on. And they are significant issues, because I think from a design standpoint, and I think the engineer indicated that initially, it is a difficult site. There is only one way in and one way out. And I'm less concerned about how traffic circulates inside the site than I am if something blocks that driveway and causes problems from a jurisdictional standpoint, where you have runoff into the wetlands or untreated catastrophic failure or a minor failure. If that wall on either side is deficient at any point in time, access to the site is compromised. And you're probably facing an emergency order to rectify the situation quickly, because you have residents that cannot get in or out of their residence. So those are the issues that we just would request that the commission focus on.
Can you explain something to, in the area where the culvert is going to be, what's the road drainage like? Where's the water going that lands on the road?
So I have a catch basin here, that, and a catch basin here that catches everything from here. The only thing that's gonna be drained into the catch basins down here is this roadway. Mass DOT won't allow you to drain onto their property.
That's right.
So we have this catch basin here, and it's gonna go back to a storm scepter here and release to the wetland.
Is there a possibility when you're plowing snow that the snow cascades into the wetlands?
No, I mean,
And what prevents that?
you're gonna have guardrails, you're gonna have curbing,
Well, you only have 4 feet, right?
4 feet.
What's the separation between the edge of the wall and the layout of the roadway? You have a 4-foot sidewalk and
Yeah.
then,
That's it.
that's it.
Yeah, you might be in trouble if we have another winter,
Yeah.
like we just had, as to where the kids are gonna walk.
So that is an alteration too, putting,
So how are they gonna plow the sidewalk?
Say again?
How are they gonna plow the sidewalk?
You'll have to, plow the sidewalks after you plow the road.
You're gonna plow it, we're gonna put the snow from the sidewalk.
Back into the road and plow the road again.
Keep shifting it back and forth.
I've seen it done.
but those are the issues I think the commission should focus on, that you're not migrating into the wetlands.
Where's the drainage coming from? Are you gonna treat, in your operation and maintenance plan, how are you gonna treat the roadway surface for snow and ice?
Right now, we're looking to sand it and treat it with, not salt, but, what's the calcium chloride, is that
Calcium
worse?
chloride.
So the water that, when the snow melts, the calcium chloride's gonna drain into the wetlands.
Correct.
So it's gonna change the alkalinity of all those wetlands.
But keep in mind, you have the DPW facility with salt and sand stored there directly up gradient.
I can't control the DPW facility. Okay,
Yeah, so you can put the restrictions on with regards to how to
they may be
salt
gone
it.
tomorrow.
What about the 6% grade? Where is that?
6% basically from here to there.
So that's a lot of water coming down.
Yep.
Water is collected here, and there's a gully that allows the water to be captured. It's the roadway requirements in Mansfield allow you to go to 8%.
Yeah, I'm not here to debate the engineering, I'm just saying that those are issues I think the commission should well understand before they approve a plan, because those are all impacts on the wetlands.
Sure. No, fair statement. And that's why I think that in our first meeting, we had the snow storage area right on top of the replicated wetlands, which didn't work.
It was never in here, John, it was always just right here. So,
Close,
yeah.
close. All right, and show us
Could I
where the
just,
gra-
Mr. Chairman, could I just ask a question?
Yeah.
So your snow storage is adjacent to the resource area?
No.
No, it's been relocated.
Okay.
Although you've got another area down by the catch basins.
Correct.
And where the wetlands are in green shade?
The replication area?
No, the wetlands that
Oh,
you,
I mean, yeah, that's.
what's the
that's
significance of
line.
what's the significance of the green?
Really nothing, it's a landscape plan, more of a presentation plan.
Are those based on existing trees?
Let's see, existing trees, yes,
So the clusters that we see along the edge of the wetland are actually existing trees?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
One of the things the commission would want to consider also is that since you only have 2 drainage catch basins at the base of the slope, and someone indicated you're going to be sanding to control in the wintertime, that sand and silt's going to wash into those catch basins and likely clog, which is, so you should have an aggressive, and I did not smirk when you were up there, all right? I find that,
I apologize, the thing is that we prepared.
no. You can do what you want, but I did not smirk when you were making your
And I
presentation.
apologize.
All right. So,
Did you people receive this old file?
no,
Why not?
I don't know why we,
I don't think they were.
All the information is public, it's available, the
Yeah,
Conservation
we give it to
Commission
the town.
file.
That's the way it works.
All right. All right, thank you very much.
thank you for your time.
Thank you for your patience and time. Anything else, Mr. Mullin, anything to add?
I wasn't prepared to. You have questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Any other abutters, members of the public, concerned citizens? Any questions by the commission members? All right. So you're assenting to continue this until the June meeting?
June here.
And you do the best you can to get us information after you and Mitch sit down together, because that, we're looking at that niche report, they've got a lot of questions there, and if they can be answered, that really helps us.
Right, and again, I apologize for snarking, some of these questions I've had several times, and it's late and I'm tired.
All right.
You haven't had a meeting with the zoning board since our site walk.
I'm trying to remember the date. I can't remember if it was just before or I feel like it was like maybe
We didn't get
a
the-
few days before that site walk. We had a ZBA.
I
But we
think it was
didn't
the
get to speak,
Tuesday
though, right?
before the site walk.
Yeah.
Okay, but you haven't received any feedback from them subsequent to the site walk.
No,
Correct.
no, the first piece of feedback we're gonna have is Friday.
Is this right?
Yeah.
From the ZBA or from niche
From
engineering?
Niche Engineering.
Are you expecting any, when is the next zoning board of appeals meeting?
20th, following week.
Is the following week, okay.
Okay, Friday is the niche.
Yep.
What time?
10 o'clock.
All right, good.
Thanks a lot.
You're assenting? Thank you very much.
What's the next, what's the date? June?
Kathy, what's the date in June?
Next date is June 9th.
June 9th, okay. We shall see you then.
Thanks again.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And that, I think,
June 9th.
does that,
So
does that include our business? Does that include our business?
But let's
It does.
there were things along the way. And I'm going to ask you for
Are you doing any business?
No, do we have any additional?
I was just wondering about whether that's a minor, whether they wrote about removing 20 additional trees.
What do they write? Refresh my memory.
I think you have a copy there. I sent everyone an email. It came after the packet. They needed to switch the path, so they asked if he needs file, or this is a letter for Ian State saying.
Do you have a
no
question?
subdivision.
Yes, I do have one. I don't want to
Oh,
interrupt. I
good,
do have a
okay.
question about getting you the check for the reimbursement, for the check for the cost of the vernal pool.
Yes.
Would it be possible for you also to provide Mr. Holland with a copy of the contract? That was something that we always asked for with respect to peer review. Sure. The contract that existed between the town and Matt. We referenced that in the letter.
Okay.
Is that right?
Alfred, do you have a contract?
Doubting
We
whether-
didn't have a
I think
contract,
that's
we had a
I think
letter,
it's
Was it just verbal?
I think
a letter, email exchange.
Whatever you had, just the evidence that you retained him,
Yeah.
that's all.
Kathy, you have all of those, if you don't,
I
just
think I
let me
have the
know.
emails back and forth about.
Yeah, just somebody from the Conservation Commission wrote to Mr. Byrne and
Yes.
said, we'd like you to do this
That's correct.
work for us. That's what we did.
Okay,
That's fine.
And we'll reference that and send you the check.
okay,
Kathy,
Great.
if you don't have that, let me know.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
It's 11:30, guys.
That's all?
Okay.
I'm up past my bedtime.
So,
Trying to choose to it, the town meeting.
Okay, wait, don't leave, you have to sign things.
minor revisions to the tree removal plans required for this section of the trail.
This is for the sidewalk on Saturday from,
Did you read it?
no, I was just getting it.
Be careful when you cross the southbound exit ramp.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, this is for another site while we're here.
Sure.
This is from, who's partnering again with? For the Milton Muse project.
Okay. Oh, this is,
For Milton Muse, I thought this was done. I
No,
mean,
no, no,
gone,
the
like-
plan that we're just dividing, that we're going on sidewalk
Yep.
Saturday.
Yep.
On Bush Hill.
What is,
With Aaron Gedrin.
yeah.
This is what, Bob Hannigan.
Oh, Jesus. We've got another sensitive archaeological area. Oh, my word.
was that,
This is the bike trail.
Oh,
And, you know, and
Yeah, yeah.
if I sound cynical on the archaeological, they found some old house that was the original manager of some factory in Mattapan. And he lived there. And it was down about, the foundation was down about 6 feet. So they had to maneuver the bike trail around it. They said, well, somebody gonna get out and excavate it? Is it an archaeological dig? No, 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 we're just gonna leave it there. It's a foundation.
they were afraid of damaging it?
I
6
guess,
feet down?
Yeah, so now they're gonna take down an additional nine trees.
oh, on that, yeah, right.
Some of the trees have grown. So we've got 9 additional trees are in the path of the trail that now fall within the 6 to 8 inch diameter at breast height. Additionally, 2 additional trees.
Red oaks.
Well, no, they could probably take them. Look at this, we get 9, 6 to 8
Yeah.
diameter trees.
I'm not kidding.
And there's a 12 to 24 inch tree, which is a black locust, which I don't think we like.
No.
They're dirty and they're tough wood.
What was the one you talked about, a black cherry?
Cherry.
No, yeah.
Black cherry was the one you were
Right,
talking?
right.
So
I'm talking
is that
about
a dirty
black
tree?
Oh, not
No.
at all. No.
Not at all.
I think it's awesome.
Good.
I love locusts though.
That's a lot of trees, isn't it?
It's almost 20 trees.
What is
It's a minor
Oh, really?
I don't
Black
think that's
locust?
minor.
I don't think it's mine.
Okay.
either.
Okay.
Yeah, locust.
And that was 7 years ago, we agreed to.
Never
No,
got
no, not this one.
2008.
Can you buy locusts?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, the
Really?
Not
survey was
easily.
done, do you remember? I know, it was.
Oh, that's
yeah,
interesting to know.
7 years ago.
Locust.
Locust, yeah.
I'll tell her she has to file something.
Was it black locust or just
Just
locust?
locust.
Yeah, or
There's a
maybe an
hundred-
You're gonna
RDA
have to
would
blade
be
it with a
sufficient.
chainsaw like nothing.
That sounds perfect.
And if they're if they're 7 years out, I mean, our
No,
order
they're-
condition.
I think they're tree surveyors. Remember first they did the survey and then we had went through the walks?
Yeah,
Oftentimes,
but when's our order of
areas
conditions?
Where there's nothing in the field but the
I would have to
locusts.
check on that. I think it was,
Because everything
I know
else
there's
was
a
blown out or
DEP issue
burned out or?
extension, so all 3
Oh,
year
he's like-
permits were extended at another.
right.
They go around and they avoid them. Right. It's like
people will.
ants go through and
All right,
rip it all out. They leave those ones in place.
Anyway, they don't have to do a notice of
That's
intent, I don't
great.
think. Maybe an RDA,
Okay.
or if they want to do an
Amendment?
amendment to,
It's like a big rock, right?
The other thing on the septic system, the reason I went after
Oh,
the
yeah.
garbage disposal was because if they had a garbage disposal, according to Presley,
all right, so we in,
field.
we done?
Are we
with
still
addition?
Oh,
in
really?
session? Oh.
All right.
Yep. we
Okay.
So did we move to adjourn?
We haven't,
Yeah.
we have.
Second, done.
If you get-
Well, don't leave yet because you guys have to.